Hello? There we are. Okay, so we're at round 2 here, and we're trying to stream. Tell me how the audio is, please. Let's get this going. And this is actually a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Insanely more difficult. So, yeah, wow is right, buddy. Wow is right. Okay, so audio fine. Audio's great. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the help from Indonesia. Sweet. This is a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I thought you'd press a button like on your phone or something and go live. No, not even close. This is bananas. So thanks for joining me, guys, and thanks for the feedback for the audio and video. Just trying to get this right again to do some giveaways and chats and whatnot in the next couple days and weeks. And like I said, I've got all these lenses here that I've been using, so if you guys have any questions about those or some of your own gear that I've used, then I can probably hopefully help you out. So shoot your questions away. Like I said, I'm filming on the 24 G Master right now, the 1.4, and it's nice and wide. It's growing on me, I gotta say. And the A7 III, and that's my streaming setup. Like I said, a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be, but here we are. So bear with me, guys. And if you make it to the end, I got something awesome for you all. So let's chat about, why don't we chat about a couple of the newer lenses coming out and what your experiences are with them. Let's go right into the 20 versus the 24. What do you guys think? I want to know what your thoughts are, the price difference, and what you guys went for. And tell me, let's read some of the comments right off the bat. All Sony, Canon, Nikon too. Yep. No, you know what? The prices have gone up. I noticed even there were a couple things dropping. A7 III was $200 off. Lenses were on sale. And in the recent weeks, I've seen, and a lot of people have reported that prices have gone up. Maybe it's because of companies hurting economically like everybody is. But yeah, not kind of what we expected. And I don't know how that's going to look for cameras upcoming in the future. New camera sales and stuff, because if it's more expensive for them to make, it's going to be more expensive for us to buy, unfortunately. So anyways, getting back to the 20 versus 24, I got to say the 20 is a great price and it's a great size and weight, but it's too wide for me. And I think it's going to be too wide for a lot of people. And if you are just kind of starting out, I think you're going to struggle with it a bit, especially for photos, just because it is a little bit awkward. It's kind of in a, it's not a 16 and it's not something wide enough to do real estate, maybe. I wouldn't be doing real estate with a 20, but on the other hand, it's there's not enough kind of, you can't really get in there either. It does have a great minimum focus distance, but compared to this versus the 24, I gotta say the 24, after spending more and more time with this thing, absolutely blows it away. The 1.4, you know, it's only 2/3 of a stop, but just the quality you get out of it and the rendering and stuff, it's, well, it's been on my camera for quite a few days now, as you can see. So that's my thoughts on those. And guys, I wanted to mention also this guy, the Viltrox 85, 1.8 or 1.6 if you watch my videos. This is the lens I'm giving away to one of you guys shortly here. So if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and you're going to be entered to win this thing in the next few days. We're going to do that as soon as we get this live stream stuff sorted out, of course. So why don't we take some questions now and see what you guys want to talk about. Not good for cinematic. For videos, a little bit different. I'm not a big video shooter. I'm not a huge filmmaker guy. I'm more photo, and I do, you know, the odd kind of stuff you see in my B-roll and lens reviews, and trying to put a little bit of cinematic twist on it for every review. But there are some people doing some awesome stuff with the 20, going back to that. As far as a video lens, it's going to be so good on a gimbal, and you cannot beat the size and the weight. And it's freaking sharp. It's really, really, really sharp, like insanely sharp. So it's sharper than the 24 G Master. And like I said in my review, that's kind of to be expected just because it's a more complex lens. There's more glass. So when you have less, complexity, less elements and stuff, it's easier to make it sharper. So having said that, they're both really, really good lenses. And again, a lens for me is only as good as its autofocus. And the 24 is just that much better when it comes to autofocus, a bit more reliable. But again, in great light, neither of them are going to give you a problem. They're both fantastic. So I was a bit surprised to see Sony come out with the 20 at the price it was. It's actually decently priced for what it is, I think. At first, I thought it was a little bit overpriced, and I wanted to see it kind of by the 35, but it's a better lens. It really is. The 35 is great, but the 20, I love the direction that they're going. Everything that they brought out lately is really good. It's really good glass, so I'm happy to see that. And let's see what other people are saying. 24 versus 30. This is a question that's asked all the time. 24 versus the 16 to 35 G Master. That's going to be personal preference. It's going to, a big part of that is if you're a video shooter. The G Master, the 16 to 35 is just a beloved lens for all sorts of people. It's big though. It's big and it's heavy compared to the 24. The 24, I want to say, is the smallest, most reasonably sized G Master that they make. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just a fantastic thing to throw in your bag and have. And it's going to be, in my opinion, probably a bit better for video. If you ask me, there's a lot of people doing awesome stuff with video right now if you check it out on YouTube and whatnot. But the 16 to 35 for me would be my choice just because of the versatility. It's a bit bigger, but it's optically it's fantastic and it's got a range. So for me, I shoot indoors. I like shooting, inside cars and trucks and stuff in real estate. And 24, like I said, is not wide enough for real estate. It's just not. Neither is the 20. In my opinion, 16 is kind of the sweet spot. There's the Sigma 14 to 24, which is a phenomenal lens and great rendering, f2.8. It's great, and the price is fantastic. I'm actually, I can't wait to get my hands on that thing. I've used it for a little bit, but I really want to do a full in-depth review because that thing is just, it's awesome. But it's also big and heavy. Now, getting back to what you said, it really depends on what you shoot, I think. And for me, the 24 is just a bit more specialized. And just my personal shooting style, I like to have versatility. Because if I'm out, I don't like bringing a lot of lenses with me. I want to be able to, shoot that and then also that, which is a completely different subject, and have that. So that's kind of my pick. But optically, they're both phenomenal. And again, the 1.4 is a lot faster. So if you're going for the blurred background, another thing, you expect 1.4 to be beautiful, just bokeh everywhere, but it's not the case. I'm shooting at 1.4 right now, and as you can see, the thing's a foot and a half in front of me, and the background's not overly blown out. So consider that too. The compression that you get from a 1.4 on a wide-angle lens is not going to be overly apparent. So hopefully that answered your question. What else have we got here? GM rules, but they are expensive. Absolutely, they are expensive, and some of them are hard to swallow the price of them. But always consider that you can sell this glass. And I don't know about where you live, but where I live, people are selling G Master glass still for pretty much full price minus the tax. It's crazy. They like don't depreciate. So if something comes out that's a G series like the 24 versus the 20, yeah, that might deteriorate the price of the 24 a little bit just because it's pretty close, and money is hard to come by for a lot of people these days. So, but all around, there's things like the Tamron, you got to take into consideration. We've got the G Master, and then the Tamron comes out. Does that devalue the G Master? Well, not too much, I don't think. It's a different beast. It's not quite as versatile in its focal range. So you got to consider that. Always think when you're paying lots of money for these lenses, it's an investment. buy the warranty. You're going to have it for a while, hopefully, if you've done your research and you've tried it out. And if you're going past and you're not going to return it, consider a warranty, because it's an investment. And if you take care of it, you're going to be able to sell it for a huge chunk of what you bought it for. That's the benefit of good glass. Whereas a G series lens and some of the lower end stuff, you're just not going to have the resale. So consider that. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, buddy, this is my first live stream. I don't know if you can tell, and I hope my audio, again, let me know, guys, if the audio or the video is up to par. I know YouTube is kind of downgrading everything. That's probably why we're all watching stuff in 240p and crazy stuff like that. But here's another question. If you could pick only one lens, what would you pick? And I live near Vancouver in BC, Canada. That's where I live, to answer that question. If I could pick one lens, what would I pick? Oh, geez. It really goes by kind of my shooting style, and what I'm into changes so often. If you've seen my videos lately, I've been into macro. I think macro is so awesome, but I wouldn't stick that on my lens all the time. For the past however many months, my favorite lens has been the 100 to 400 G Master. This thing is a beast, and it's not too heavy, so I can bring it all over the place. We go for a walk, and I got it over my shoulder. And you go into the grocery store, you don't look like a crazy person necessarily. Not that I care, but it's gonna be so versatile, and I just love that, because I love my birds and I love my landscapes and I love my macro. So really, that's the closest thing to getting it all that I've found. And I'm doing a video right now. That's funny that you should ask. This is I don't know if I told you guys, but I'm going to give this away to one of you as well. I got some this close-up lens kit. This is basically a lens that you screw on. It's a 77mm filter thread onto any lens, and it's built for telephotos. But this basically converts your lens into a macro lens. So it just so happened that my 100 to 400 was also 77mm filter threads, and it was the first thing. So I threw this on, and I'll show you this video coming out here. But this is right here. This combo is probably the most versatile lens combo that you can buy, because you've got your 400, 600 with your crop mode, and then you've also got crazy macro. And it's not made for anything over 300, but it's possible millimeters. But I wanted to kind of show you guys that, and yeah, surprise, somebody's getting this thing. Pretty cool product, and Nisi did send that to me, so that was kind of nice. So I just thought I'd pass it on to you guys as well. Let's check out some more questions. Rocking on 24 2.8. Yeah, I did do a review on that guy, didn't I? I'm pretty sure that I did. I'd have to go back and check, but it would have been the Samyang variety. And those lenses are great for the money, absolutely. The thing that I will tell you with the Samyang and the Rokinon, they are great value for money lenses, phenomenal, but you need to buy the firmware dock. Like, it's non-negotiable, and you might cheap out because it's 60 or 80 bucks, but your lens will be garbage without it. It is an absolute necessity. So make sure you check that out, guys. If you're gonna go that route, buy the dock, and they're phenomenal lenses. This right here, this is a Samyang 85 1.4, and I love this lens. If you have seen my videos, I use this thing all the time. I've shot an entire wedding with this thing, and people say constantly, oh, the autofocus is unreliable and stuff. Well, it is if you're too cheap to buy the dock. And yeah, there are some bad copies, but like you've seen, I got a bad copy of this guy, the Sigma 24, the 72.8. This is a brand new lens, coveted. People are very defensive about this thing right now. But there's bad copies and everything in G Masters, so keep that in mind. Let's go back to the table, see what else we got. Yeah, the 100 to 400 G Master on the A7 IV R4 is the dream. That's kind of what I was going for. I was kind of hoping that it would drop a little bit, or Sony would be like, hey, do you want this camera? Which, Sony, if you're watching, no. But with crop mode, you have a 150 to 600 that shoots 26 megapixels in this size. That is mind-blowing to me. And you've got great autofocus, throw it on crop mode, and you know, that's a phenomenal thing. You know, throw a teleconverter on there and you got 95% of the sharpness and the performance of the 200 to 600, but half the size and the weight. So I think that's amazing. I would love to see more of your shots with that thing because, you know, trying to justify it to the wife is tough. It's a pricey little setup there, but fingers crossed, I'm saving up. So what else we got? Any questions, guys? Do you guys have any, do you need any advice, or are you caught between two lenses? Do you need anything on, you know, deciding on something? Let me know. The 70 to 180, that lens looks pretty darn awesome, I gotta say. It's a great size and weight, 2.8. The lack of image stabilization does bother me, and people say, yeah, there's IBIS, but it's not quite the same. You can't compare it. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't put them in the G Master lenses. You wouldn't have it. And Sony's IBIS is not fantastic. It's not like a Panasonic or something. So, you know, keep that in mind as well. What else we got? Thoughts on the Sony 18 to 105G? Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic lens. Great video lens. In fact, a lot of people obviously use it for video. Even some professionals, I've seen it like as a, you know, a B camera, throw it in your bag and have it. It's got the, you know, the electric focusing switch, which is kind of unique. But yeah, that's a great, fantastic lens to have. And I liked it. I had that and the 18 to 135 at the same time. It's a little bit bigger. It doesn't extend when you zoom, which is really nice. It was a little bit weird to get used to. It's completely electronically coupled. So typically on a zoom lens, you know, like that, it feels like you want to zoom. So it was a little bit weird to get used to, but video shooters are kind of a different breed. So that might be right up their alley. And yeah, I thought it was a great lens. For the money, you can't really beat it. I wouldn't spend the money on it new, personally, but I think that if you find it used, and because it's a, you know, a crop lens, it's going to be devalued a bit more than the full frame lenses I think used. It's a good pickup, absolutely. So hopefully that answered that question. What else do we got here? Lens flare performance on the 70 to 200 2.8. The Sigma, yeah. The Sigma, and I haven't touched on this yet because I'm a little scared because of the backlash because of all this. No, I am doing a follow-up video, but let's talk about the Sigma 24 to 70 2.8. This lens, for me, it's always between these two guys. And the last tons of videos that I've shot, I've been using the Sigma just to, you know, put it through its paces and really get its use in, so I know everything about this lens. And I gotta say, the autofocus on the Sigma is not as good as the Tamron. It's just not. It's not as, it's nervous and it's unreliable, I find. And it does kind of bug me a little bit, but I've shot countless hundreds of hours on this guy and it's never let me down. This thing, it does more than I'd like to admit it. And optically, this thing is good. It's good. It's got a nice character to it. The bokeh is really beautiful, and it's a good solid lens. It feels really good, but I think for value for money, if you're just getting into this and you're looking for a great first lens, you know, you spent all your money on your camera. The Tamron, man, this thing is just so solid. It's such a good size and weight, and the autofocus is just fantastic. You can't lose for the money. That's where I'm at still with the Tamron. So I'd venture to say again, probably one of the best value for money lenses that you can buy, and it is. It's one of the best selling lenses for the Sony camera mount, E-mount, period. So that's still my thoughts on that. This is a great lens, don't get me wrong. It's big and heavy, and again, if you're a video shooter through and through, you're gonna probably enjoy it a little bit more. The focus ring and just the smoothness of focus is really nice. If you're doing a lot of manual focus, absolutely, no brainer. This is a fantastic lens, and I love the buttons. It's really convenient to have automatic manual focus. I love just having the access to that. Again, this lock switch is useless to me. I don't know why that's even there, because if you you can lock it, and then if you zoom at all, it unlocks it. It's just weird to me. Anyways, let's get back to this. Guys, tell me right off the bat, who's going to be the first one to tell me the overall effective megapixels of the A7 III? First one to tell me that wins something. Let's play some games. And I'll answer another question. Quick Google, Google. Absolutely, macro on the 100 to 400 is fantastic. It really is. So, like I said, I'm gonna do a video here coming up with the close-up lens kit on the 100 to 400, and you'll see some crazy macro with it because it essentially becomes an actual macro lens. Okay, well, you're close. Oh, somebody nailed it. Superior media, 24.2 effective megapixels. This is truth. And I'll confirm it. Somebody confirm, go on Sony's website, but I know it's not actually 24, it's like 24.2. So you win something. Hang on and I'll tell you what it is. What else we got here, guys? Do you have any thoughts on super zooms like the 24 to 240 or the 18 to 200 for video? Okay, so right off the bat, when you're talking about super zooms like that, they have a variable aperture. So that's going to be tricky, and if you're going to ever get serious about video, that's going to be a problem for you most likely, because, you know, again, they're going to be big too. When you think ultra wide zooms like that, really huge focal length difference, they're going to be not known for video. They're not going to be really known for anything. I'd really recommend that 24 to 240 for like a hobbyist, somebody who's just really not concerned, that's still shooting on auto, you know, maybe venturing into, you know, aperture priority or something that's learning but not super passionate about it. And maybe you're going for traveling or something, you want to cover all in one. That's what I recommend that for. But if you're serious about photography, it's just not there, you know. It's a great all-around lens, and a lot of people say it's underrated, but for video especially, I would stick to probably more of the 18 to 105. That's definitely more tailored to video, something like that. And if you are shooting video, again, you're probably going to want something that's going to go well on a gimbal. And if your subject's going to change, you don't want to have a zoom lens you're constantly being thrown off balance and whatnot. So hopefully that answers your question. What else do we got here, guys? Absolutely. Yeah, Tamron, you really can't go wrong with that. And you're going to sell it for a good chunk of what you bought it. You know what? I don't use vintage lenses. I never have. And I feel like there's some really cool character lenses out there. But I got to say, I spent all this money on the camera. I want the best out of it. So it really depends on your style as well. A lot of people are, you know, really creative, and some of those lenses have just a really cool just character to it, you know, and it looks beautiful. Some of the bokeh on some of them are really crazy, swirly, and you can see all these different kinds. I don't care for that myself, but it's crazy to see what people can come up with. 60, 70-year-old lenses, and they're throwing them on these things. It's like, it's wild. But if you pay for all this technology, I want that technology. It's plain and simple. All right, guys, what else we got? Vintage lenses. Any other questions? Shoot them, guys. Let me know what you think. Tokina manual focus is great. Samyang 18 millimeter. 18 I have not actually used, the Samyang 18. I don't think. I did a review on the 14, and the 14 is a pretty cool lens. That's a fun lens. It is, you know, hugely wide, and it's big, but it feels good. It's got really good construction. It's obviously a very specific lens, but it's a lot of fun, and yeah, I'd recommend it. It's good for the money as well. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. What else we got? This phone is just won't stop. Okay, let's scroll down here. You bet. Flare performance. Tamron 28 to 75 flare performance. Sunrises, sunset. Yeah, you know, this lens, going back to the Tamron, it's a great all-around lens. It's not going to be absolutely phenomenal at anything. Flare, I've never had an issue with it. I think for the most part, the sun stars and stuff, if you stop down, are going to be, they're going to be nice. There's not going to be anything mind-blowing, but they're going to be average. I've never had a problem with it, if that's what you're asking. I think it's fine. JPEG or RAW? Okay, RAW, always. RAW, no question. If you are serious about photography, it's RAW. There's just infinitely more detail to be recovered from RAW. I always shoot RAW. When I got serious about this, I decided one day that, you know, I'm a photographer now. This is what I'm doing, and I got off manual or automatic. I threw it on aperture priority and kind of learned that. Got into birds, used shutter priority a little bit, you know, to slow things down, and that was cool. And then you start playing with your depth of field. And then I just threw it on manual, and after a week, I've never gone off, I've never not been on manual. So I use manual literally 100% of the time. Manual and RAW is just what I shoot. Redundancy is great if you are shooting, you know, stuff you don't really care about. If you're at a birthday party, you know you're going to be shooting 400 pictures and you don't have the space or you don't want to deal with that, or maybe your computer isn't as intensive for editing, well, consider maybe shooting in JPEG. Then you might be able to do that. But if you want every little ounce of your photos, definitely shoot RAW. I love RAW. And you're probably going to ask me compressed versus uncompressed, because that comes up a lot too. Shoot compressed. The difference between uncompressed and compressed is very minimal. You're going to have a big file size difference, but compressed is going to be 99%. Again, if you shoot HDR, if you're concerned about, you know, recovering a little bit more detail. But as far as uncompressed RAW is concerned, it's not worth the file size to me, because only it's going to recover a tiny bit of more detail when it's very, very underexposed or very, very overexposed. But for me, it's not worth it. So yeah, I would suggest, you know, you have the ability, you got 2 card slots if you're shooting with the A7 III. I'm assuming this for some reason, but that's what I shoot, and I shoot RAW only, but you can shoot JPEG plus RAW and then see which one you like better. But again, if you don't have the editing capacity or, you know, the power on your computer, JPEG's just fine too. But for me, I shoot less now. The more I shoot, the less I shoot, because you learn what not to shoot. You know, first when you're going out, you're shooting everything that you see, and you're learning every photos, you're getting better and better. And now I go out and I might go for a 3-hour walk and not take one picture, because in my mind, you know, you're searching for, I'm always looking for a competition. I'm always thinking competition. I want a perfect picture. I want to capture a moment that just is amazing. Nothing, the same old just doesn't cut it for me anymore. But everybody's at a different place, and so, like I said, hopefully that answers your question. I'm rambling. Okay. True pros, shoot JPEG. I always struggle with taking photos in darker places. So I've shot some sports. What do you mean you struggle in shooting in darker places? How do you struggle? Hello. Officially unpopular. Sorry about the autofocus here. It's kind of annoying. Would you switch to Canon when the R5 comes out? Oh my God. No, absolutely not. You haven't watched my last few videos, obviously. The Canon R5 is such a beast of a camera. It's insane. And I used to shoot Canon. The R5 is insane, and nothing's confirmed, so there's really no point in speculating about it until we see tests. There's going to be, you know, Canon's famous for crippling, whatever. They got the cripple hammer out and they're going to town. So something's going to be off on that thing, I guarantee you. But that thing is going to be insanely expensive. I've heard rumors of $3,500. You're nuts if you think that thing's going to be $3,500. That thing's competing with professional cameras. It's a you know, I haven't heard much about the autofocus, but it's an A9 and an A7S III in one. it's insane. But again, it's not the camera for me. It's gonna be too expensive, and I'd rather put my money in glass, to be honest. I don't need 8K, I don't need 6K. I don't have the money or the dream to build a computer that can edit 8K. I want to rip my hair out editing 4K all the time. And 4K is intensive. And I have a decent computer. My computer is probably about, I don't know, 25, three grand or something. So it's a decent setup, but I don't want anything to do with 6K or 8K. Those are going to be for absolutely hardcore professionals. That thing is insane, but we don't know enough about it. And no, I will not be switching to Canon unless Canon sees this and wants to give me an R5. Then I'll make a video on it, but no. I don't think that's going to happen at this point. Who else is here? I'm on the fence about picking up a Tamron. Oh, okay, here's a good one. Yeah, so we did touch on that, the 70 to 180. The Tamron, again, I don't have it. I wish I had it, but I'll try and get my hands on a copy. The size and the weight is going to be great. If you've shot with the Tamrons, you know, versus the Sigmas and stuff, it's a different class. So your 200 f4, your 70 to 200 f4, a phenomenal lens, great autofocus, great size. I love that lens, in fact. An f4, why would you be considering switching over? You're losing 20 millimeters on the long end, which people say, oh, it's not a big deal, but that is significant if you think about it. Okay, so if you're shooting in crop mode, you know, you're losing even more. So consider that it doesn't have image stabilization, and we talked about that a little bit. There's a reason the GM has image stabilization. There's a reason that the 200 to 600 has image stabilization. IBIS on the Sony cameras doesn't really cut it. It's not great. So having said that, again, I haven't used it. The autofocus looks phenomenal on it, but the lack of image stabilization on the 70 to 180 does disturb me a little bit. But again, look at the price of it. It's a phenomenal price. But again, if you're looking at the Sony variety, the f4, they're very similar. So give and take, that's a tough one. That's a tough call. When I get my hands on it, I'll be able to tell you more definitely my thoughts on it. Of course, I can't speak without touching it. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. What else we got? 16 to 55 2.8 APS-C lens. Okay, this new guy from, I do have a review on it out there. Yeah, it's a great lens. It's astronomically expensive for a crop lens, in my opinion. And personally, if you're at that level of crop, if you've got an A6600 and you've probably got a full frame as well. If it's a B camera, and maybe you're on the fence. If you're a crop shooter and you're looking for a fantastic standard zoom fast lens, that's as good as you're going to get for a crop body. And we don't really have anything other than that. So in that regard, if you're a crop shooter through and through and you're not have any plans to go to full frame, sure, that's a fantastic lens. It's sharp, it's fast, it's you got a little bit of extra there, which is kind of nice on the focal range, which is kind of cool. I enjoyed it, but for me, I'm spoiled by full frame lenses, and I gotta say, it wouldn't be my first pick, but still a fantastic lens, I gotta say. If you're a crop shooter, and I came from crop, I shot a Canon 80D for years, and you know, I was satisfied with it until I wasn't, until I outgrew the camera's capability, not the glass per se. So the glass is gonna serve you well. It's just, where are you on upgrading to a crop or a full frame camera? Hope that answered your question. What else, guys? And again, anybody who wins anything in here, shoot me an email. I'll go back and check out who's won some stuff already. But let's check out some other things. Samyang 85 for video work. Okay, we did touch on that already. How is that, the 85 Samyang for video work? How does that work at 1.4, I'm assuming? Yeah, I'm not shooting a heck of a lot of video at 1.4, to be honest. It's going to be fine as long as you, once again, have the dock for the firmware. Don't even consider buying these cameras, Rokinon or Samyang, unless you have the dock, period. If you do that, you're going to be good, assuming you get a good copy. Like I said, I have the 85 1.4 here. Great lens. Without the firmware, it's a mediocre lens that's kind of on the fence. So consider that. All right, does that answer your question? What else we got? How do we get into the giveaway? You subscribe, that's it. You're already in if you subscriber. I'm just gonna do random, and I'm gonna do some other fun stuff too, just to kind of get people involved. Again, this is a community, guys. This isn't about me. This is about us growing as photographers and deals. Like companies constantly approaching me saying, hey, do you want to promote this thing? Will you do this? Hey, do you want to review that? Okay, sure. Well, I want to pass that on to you. I don't need all this stuff. And if I do get, services, people want to connect and they want to connect and be partners of services. Luminar, for example. And why not? Let's give away a Luminar 4 copy this live stream. So one of you guys is going to win a Luminar 4 subscription. Why not? So I'll think of something cool, and then maybe we'll just do a random draw, and at the end, somebody's going to win Luminar 4. Luminar 4, if you don't know what it is, it's an editing software. There's no subscription, and it's pretty cool. It's not a Photoshop or Lightroom replacement, but it is really neat because it uses AI. And again, I'll say this is not sponsored by Luminar. It's just something that's kind of fun and lets you really just kind of edit whatever, just let your imagination go. It's got some really cool tools. Sky augmentation, sky swap with one click does a pretty cool job at that. So yeah, we'll do that at the end here. And it's getting a bit late, I know, probably for you Eastern guys too. Sorry for the late stream here. So maybe we'll wrap up pretty quick. We'll answer a few more questions. How about that? Okay, what do we got? Okay, Sigma 24 to 70, getting back to that. Did you notice any close focusing issues at 70? People have said based on field curvature, it's like lens baby at close focus. Any thoughts? So yeah, no, I haven't actually noticed any specific issues at 70. I have used it a ton at its minimum focus distance, I'll tell you that, because it does take some beautiful pictures and it's spring and I'm out shooting flowers and stuff. I haven't noticed that. Like I said, the autofocus isn't the most reliable in my opinion. Like it does struggle from time to time. In fact, why don't I throw it, on my next live stream, I'll use the Sigma and we can talk about that more because that's still a really hot topic. And we'll see how it does. I'll keep it on autofocus and see, because in light like this, it's not great. And I love to push the limits of my stuff. I love to do all sorts of tests and stuff. It's not perfect, but I haven't specifically noticed, to answer your question, any close focusing issues at that close distance at 70. So yeah. All right, which flash is best for the Sony a7 III? Oh boy. Which flash is best for the Sony a7 III? Well, easy answer is the Sony one, because it's going to be the most compatible. I have a Godox, actually, the 870 or something that I use, rarely, but that's a kind of a loaded question. There's so many options. I'm probably not the best person to ask, actually, because I don't do a heck of a lot of flash work. If I'm shooting portraits or models or something, then I will, or some macro. But for me, for what I do, yeah, the Godox is more than enough, and that's linked in the description of my gear and every video that I post if you want to check that out. Very, very reasonable in price, so check that out. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's answer a couple more, guys, and then we'll wrap up. Zeiss Batis lenses. Yeah, the Batis are pricey, and they're great lenses. I haven't reviewed any, but I've used quite a few, just at a seminar or whatever, borrowed a couple. Nothing in depth, nothing over a long period of time. And I don't know, I'm not overly drawn to the Batis lenses for some reason, even though some of them just are incredible, but they're very expensive as well. I feel like, for me, it's like GM a lot of the time, or your Tamron stuff. I kind of rarely stick with the Sony. I do have the f4 that I love, but I don't know why I don't have more of the Batis. I need to look into that. Maybe get my hands on some and review some. Good point, though. What else? If you only have an A6400, do you suggest I should buy any Sony GM lenses, or should I focus on some lower budget lenses? Okay, so this is tough to hear, but your lenses should be more expensive than your camera. You should marry your lenses and date your camera, they say, because your lenses are forever and your camera is going to be outdated in a few years. So always invest in lenses, and you're going to learn that as you go. But as far as GM lenses on a crop camera, that's going to be a little bit tricky, just because you have to take into account the focal length difference. It's going to be 1.5 times, and it's going to be a little bit trickier to kind of balance that. You're not going to get as wide because it's not meant for it. As far as the quality is concerned, you're going to probably see a little less quality than if you're watching a review on a full frame G Master lens and then you throw it on a crop body. You're not going to get the same quality typically. So keep that in mind too. But if you plan on upgrading to a full frame camera in the future, yeah, absolutely. It's a great investment. I can't say no to a G Master lens, but just keep in mind that it's going to perform a little bit differently because it's not designed to be on a crop sensor camera. All right, guys, let's do 2 more. Worried about the crazy people. I do not have the 35 1.8 here. Yeah, you know, I didn't actually have any issues with chromatic aberration or anything with the 35 1.8. I thought it was a decent lens. It's not my favorite focal length, I gotta say. I'm not a huge wide angle lens fan, as you know. I usually shoot with an 85 or I like 50. I don't even own a 50 right now, but 85 I love, obviously, and my zooms because of the versatility. But the 35 I thought was great. It's a great size and weight, absolutely. There was just, I don't know what it was. There was something about it for me that it just wasn't one of those lenses. And optically it was good. Optically it was pretty darn good. But I didn't notice any chromatic aberration, anything that stood out to me any more than anything else. I would have definitely noted that. Okay, one more, guys. Always drop your questions in your comments. Flip screen. Okay, so the flip screen. Yeah, there's a big battle on one of the forums today over flip screen that I posted that the A7 IV I would hope it would have flip screen, and people had a hard time with that. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get it, and we won't get into the A7 IV in this video just because of the lack of time, but we should talk about it. It's a great subject. As far as a flip screen, I would say one of these guys. Now, just some more gadgets and stuff. I use an external monitor. Just a cheap guy here. It's a Timber Cod. It's actually really good, but I've got all sorts of monitors kicking around here. And I use that instead of a flip screen, but you do have those mirror light kind of things that you can stick up for 20 bucks now. I would recommend to you the a6600 if you're going to stay Sony as a camera with a flip screen, because that camera is awesome. It's a really great camera. The autofocus is fantastic. The video is great minus the rolling shutter. The rolling shutter on it is horrid, but as far as an overall camera, it's a great camera, and it's convenient. And it's just great to throw up and see yourself for vlogging, for whatever. It's really great. There is a lack of vlogging lenses on the Aps-C line, unfortunately. You're kind of stuck, in my opinion, with the 10 to 18. Great lens, and it is image stabilized, but it's still, the IBIS and whatnot is not going to do a tremendous job. So yeah, I'd recommend the a6600 if that makes sense. And if you can't afford that, a6500 still a good camera, just minus the battery. The a6600, the only reason I would ever consider that is because of the Z-type battery. I'm not into any camera that has a 300 life shutter in the battery. It's just insane. All right, guys. Well, we should wrap up because I'm taking up a lot of time here, and I just really wanted to figure out this live stream thing. So let me know in the comments, how's the video, how's the audio, is there anything that I should change, levels and all that good stuff. Tell me if it's good. I want to know so we can do this again and we can connect better. So what else? Let's come down here. Yeah, and maybe I'll give away an external monitor one of these days. I got a few, so keep keep your eyes peeled. Just keep it this way. Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the feedback on the stream. Which lens is upside down? Yes, there is one upside down. It's because it's safer. Okay, guys. Yeah, right? So it was kind of crazy to set up, but once you get it going, it's actually not too bad. So, guys, why don't we leave it at that? I wanted to give somebody who answered my first question about the megapixels, email me that. Email me, bud, and I'll shoot you one of my preset packs, my paid one, of course, absolutely free. And also, I told you guys that somebody here is going to be winning Luminar 4. So why don't we, I'll tell you what, I'm going to, I don't know how to do that random generator while live streaming thing. So I'm going to do it after this, and I see all of you here. I'm going to go through and throw your names in there and pick one at random, and I'll post it in my community posting thing. So check out there. I don't even know how you get to that, to be honest, but when I do my post, I'll show you the winner. Or, you know, better yet, we'll do a live stream tomorrow, and I'll announce the winner in that one. How about that? If you guys can wait that long. Does that sound good? Perfect. Okay, guys, so yeah, why not? Okay, I'll tell you what, guys. Because it's my first live stream, I appreciate your feedback and all that stuff. I'm going to make a code for you guys to download my preset pack for free for all of you guys. So it's only going to be good for this day, for today. If you guys ever do presets in Lightroom, I'll throw that to you guys for you know, checking me out. I appreciate you guys. And like I said, if you want to be entered, if you want to be part of the community, make sure you're subscribed, and you will be entered to win all sorts of cool stuff and watch all my awesome videos. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and watching the first live stream. It's pretty cool, and we'll probably see you tomorrow, if not tomorrow, the next day, and I'll announce one of you has won the Luminar 4 subscription. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you soon. Oh, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out and take some more pictures. You have to. See ya.